Okay, so I explained my view on the flat Earth sunset. It's different than other views. I think most flat earthers say it's a directional light source or they use a perspective argument. I haven't really commented on either of those, but I presented my own model, which is based on light refraction, which is in my second volume of my zeticism video. But I think a lot of people haven't seen that, especially ball Earth people. So I'm going to put the clip of that right here in this video. Just take that section of the documentary and put it right here. I personally think this is the right description. It's how you can explain the ball of the sun sinking into the horizon, when you're looking at it from the beach in Lake Michigan, for example. It works perfect. It does so for the same reason that the Chicago skyline is cut off, is lowered when you look at it from Michigan, as I explain here in a minute. But I thought it was important just to put this clip up since so many round earthers come along and say, oh, the flat earth theory is false because you can't explain the sunset. Just because you can't explain something in a theory doesn't mean the whole theory is wrong. That's like saying, oh, you don't know what a Big Bang singularity is, so therefore the whole Big Bang theory is wrong. Or it's like saying, we don't know how to describe how natural selection can happen by way of telomeres and centromeres to fuse chromosome 2 and 3. So therefore the whole theory of evolution is wrong. I'm not an evolutionist or a Big Banger, but that's the same. Just because you can't explain something doesn't mean the theory's wrong. So I know that the ball Earth community believes their sunset model is really clean and empirical, that is scientific, but it relies on a number of things that we can't prove without starless NASA pictures, namely Earth spinning, Earth curvature, blah, blah, blah. Whereas the flat Earth sunset that I'm depicting here is you don't need all that. It's just, all you need is light refraction, which is empirical. All you need to do is look into what the radar industry is doing, and you'll see that light refraction is something that all of us can test and verify that's what happens. Light curves down through atmosphere. That was the whole subject of my entire first documentary, Zeticism Volume 1. If anybody has the capacity to get a radar gun or some sort of radar apparatus, you can easily measure light refraction happening. And by that very fact, the flat Earth sunset model is far more empirical than really the non-empirical heliocentric sunset model. So rather than yelling at flat earthers, the heliocentrists probably should worry about making scientific their own philosophy. So anyway, here's that clip of how the sunset happens. I'm not trying to one-up any other flat earthers. I could be wrong, but in my opinion, this is the right description. Maybe I'll be shown wrong in the future. If so, I'll admit it. But I think this is rock solid and the right description. So anyway, here you go. Here's the clip from Zeticism Volume 2, right in the middle of that video documentary. Light refraction. This will be a subject that comes up a number of times in this documentary, and it is the absolute key to understanding what you see in your world under the sky dome on the Earth plane. Refraction was the principal issue discussed in Zeticism Volume 1, but I will sum it up for you here very quickly. When light travels through the atmosphere, through the air, not due to gravity, but due to traveling through the air, it is bent downward. So in other words, if you see the sun on the horizon setting, the light from it to your eyes is bent downward, and actually the sun is further along its path than you believe it to be. Here is how stuff works, discussing from the globe model perspective this very phenomenon. This is a very standard, straightforward, experimentally verifiable datum as evidenced by the radar industry, which involves corrections for light refraction sent out by the electromagnetic, i.e. light, pulse from the radar tower out to bounce off, say, an aircraft, for example. The light will bend down through the atmosphere, and radar specialists have to account for this, quote, error, unquote, in order to get the correct measurement for where the plane is actually located. This is also why you see if you're looking at the Chicago skyline from Michigan, the buildings of the Chicago skyline appear to be lowered, but this is not due to curvature of the Earth as discussed in extreme detail in Zeticism Volume 1. It is due to light bending as it travels from the buildings to your eye. Also, I realize many will say, oh, how do we know it's not curvature? Like How Stuff Works just was saying there. That's why I used that picture, that article from How Stuff Works. And that was the sole topic in Zeticism Volume 1, verifying that lowering on the Chicago skyline and so forth, the radar industry's report of light refraction is due to light bending through atmosphere, not due to curvature or to something, or light, the theoretical idea that light bends around the globe for some reason. Because in Zeticism Volume 1, we showed very clearly that there is a geometrically flat place on Earth, the Salar de Uyuni in South America, and it has tremendous lowering on the horizon of the mountains in the distance surrounding that salt flats. And if it's geometrically flat, then it can be verified that light refraction is the cause of this lowering of objects on the horizon in the distance. Anyway, go listen to Zeticism Volume 1 if you want to know more. Let's continue with this sunset clip. So we will next discuss a sunset, how a sunset works on the flat Earth plane model under the sky dome. Earlier you saw this video footage where you notice how dark the sky gets from this first image to the next second image, despite the fact that the sun is still quite, quote, high, unquote, in the sky. We, however, have seen that actually the sun has receded from us, which would apparently account for why the sky has lost some of its... If you're thinking back to refraction, you know that the image you're seeing actually is higher up than you believe it to be. The sun is actually lower on the horizon. Now, if this video footage was to continue, as you can find many samples on the internet or do yourself will verify, the sky will continue to darken, and when the sun becomes very near to the horizon, the sky will be dusk, not very well illuminated at all. So the sun is still in the sky, and yet the sky is significantly darkening. You can still see the sun in full view. Could be even too bright for you to see with your eyes, yet the sky is darkening. So if it can darken that much while it's still in full view, well, that tells us a little bit about something after it passes out of view, and then the light is refracted down out of view. When the sun passes behind the horizon, the world approaches nighttime and will eventually become engulfed in full darkness. However, think back to what we just said about refraction. The sun actually did not go below the horizon as you saw by way of, quote, optical illusion, unquote. The sun image is actually bent, so therefore the light, the picture that you saw was bent around some of the flat plane of the Earth, so it makes it appear that the sun descended below the horizon. Just like objects on the horizon will appear lower on the horizon, not due to Earth's curvature, but due to light refraction solely. If you have any question about that, please go watch Zeticism Volume 1, which covers this issue thoroughly. The sun is still above the horizon, it's just that you are not able to see such, because the sunlight from the sun to you has been bent down out of view, analogous to the way the low-flying plane will be lost on the radar. If the sun keeps moving away, it will get darker and darker, until eventually all of its light will be bent, i.e. refracted, out of your view, so none of it will reach you, and the world where you exist will become nighttime, and you will not see any of the sunlight. If refraction did not exist, and light traveled straight and was not bent down through atmosphere, you would not have nighttime and your existence on Earth. This is how a sunset works. When a sunset occurs,